normally don't do the courtesy revs leaving the garage, but today's a little different. So, forgive me, I'm not going to be quite as shocked. This is my second run at this, making this video. I made a whole 30-minute video, and I had the audio capturing device. It was just turned up too high, so the whole thing was just clipping. So this time I'm going to redo the video and hopefully get a little bit better footage than I did last time. So what I'm testing here today is the Dundon Motorsports exhaust, which consists of replacing the factory headers and cats with their long tube headers, so it's catless, with Charles Dundon's patented little bung to bypass the O2 sensors, and there's no check engine light, which is really, really cool. So I don't have an ECU tune, but yet I don't have a check engine light, so that's awesome. Then it's a side muffler delete, so we've taken the side mufflers off, and so we have but we have two paths. One is a valved path and the other is a regular path. And of course my big question, my big concern was that I hate valves. I hate the transition, especially on the GT3. You know, like the 911 Carrera S, you just press the button and the valve's open, and you drive around, the valve's open, you press the button and the valve closes. Not so on the GT3. The valves are open right now. I can close them, so not a huge difference. So here's closed, open, closed, open. Here's the open rev, closed rev. So, I mean, there's certainly a difference. But the way this car works is as soon as you leave, as soon as we drive off the line, the valves close. No matter if they're open or closed here, the valves close, and then at around 3,700 RPMs, they open again, no matter if the button's depressed or not. So, my big concern was having that valve change all the time, where it's closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, closed, open, driving me crazy. And I will tell you, I'll spare you the pain here. It's much more seamless. It's perfect. So we get all the pros of having the valves closed and none of the cons, which is really, really great. The con would be that you have all the switching. The pro is that no drone, no resonance, no issues inside the cabin. So it's ridiculously nasty outside, but inside the car it's very civil, very tame. Certainly you can hear it when you get on. It's loud in here, and you'll hear that in a second. This audio setup I have is a pretty decent system, so it does a good job of capturing the audio and what it really sounds like. So let's get moving, and I'll talk you through this. Hopefully I'll shut up so you can actually hear the car. There's the family going for a little nature hike. So the valves are closed right now. So I'm very civilly cruising around the neighborhood. Now, keep in mind that, since we are deleting the side mufflers, the factory center muffler which is part of the system, I forgot to mention, is basically a straight through design. So it's still, even with the valves closed, it's still, you can hear the car coming for a half a mile. But it's not so loud that, I don't think, well, maybe I shouldn't speak for my neighbors, but I don't think they really mind that, that I have this thing and it makes all this noise. Maybe they do. Maybe I just don't know it. So this will be my public apology to my neighbors. But the great part about it is, you know, I'm not having to yell over it like where with the disconnected valves in the GMG. If you connected the valves with the GMG or the SharkWorks, then you got all this crazy valve switching. It drives me nuts. Where with the valves disconnected, you have some, you know, you got some drone, you got some resonance. Makes a lot of noise. Car's 174 degrees, so we're not quite warm yet. But with this exhaust, it's so much, I'm getting the best of both worlds. I'm getting that ridiculously nasty, and I'm hoping to get, but none of the annoyance in the interior. Vibrating around. You can really hear, I also have, which Charles Dundon recommends, I also have the filters. What are they called? BMC filters. So that, he says that adds, you know, 3 to 5 horsepower. The valve transition is very seamless. You can hear it, especially if you get on it around, you know, 3,000, you hear it transition, but it's just not as pronounced. So if you guys have a 991 GT3 and the valves annoy you, this is really cool, really awesome. It's really the perfect combination of what I would hope to have. Now I know I've said this many times before where, oh, this is the exhaust, this is the one. So I'm not going to say that this time, but I'm pretty sure. So I mean, the GMG is still great. The tone is great. That brings sort of another thing up to my head here while I'm driving. The tone is different, very different from this exhaust. I mean, that probably has a lot to do with the long tube headers, but it sounds great. You know, in Charles's videos and Jamie's videos, the tone sounded a little weird to me, so I was a little nervous about, one, the valves, and two, you know, what's the exhaust going to sound like? And any of those fears I had are now, they've all subsided. There's a Model S, the 85D. Yep. I would pass him, but he'll work me. My friend has one. I mean, if we were going to like 120 or something, I could take him, but the car will, with all that torque, will stomp me. Up to 100 miles an hour. It's embarrassing. I got this big giant wing, and I got a family sedan, electric family sedan, and getting stomped. I'm not stupid. Plus, it's a double yellow line, so let's not break the law while we're on camera. So, you know, this exhaust, this thing that Charles Dundon designed. I mean, I think he's 5 or 6 months of hours and hours and hours of development. Once they posted the dyno results, I'm like, wow, you know, this is really interesting. And the original dyno had a huge dip in the mid range, and a lot of he's talked about it. A lot of it has to do with the, you know, sort of the cam timing, and I think the cam switchover maybe. And so I think it had something to do with leaning out or too rich. Whatever it was, the dyno plot didn't look like a significant improvement, but it was making, you know, 30-40 horsepower at the peak. So I was interested about following the thread, and his first iteration had it was a full exhaust with or without valves, and this one includes the factory center muffler. It sounds so different than it did before, in a good way. But anyway, he basically, I called him afterwards, or sent him a private message. He said, "Well, let's have a conversation." I said, and maybe I can help you market the exhaust, because I'm okay at doing that. And so he. So if I'm just cruising, sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. If I'm just cruising at sixth gear, like 55 miles an hour, very tame, having a conversation with you here. Very different than the GMG with the valves disconnected. Even the Shark Works, it's quieter than that, but certainly louder, which is, again, what I want. So anyway, we talked about, what my big problem with most of these, there's so many different exhaust iterations out for this car, but they're all just some version of a 997 or 996 exhaust. And this, I argue, this direct fuel injected, this 9A1 3.8 liter is just different than those other cars. So we should be, I was begging someone, AWE or somebody, to do the research, and there just aren't enough cars to spend for a big company to spend the time and money. So everybody just comes out with a center bypass and calls it a day. Well, I wanted something better. And then the Akrapovic, all that is just a titanium version of the factory exhaust for 11 grand. So I just, there was just no solution. IPEs is goofy, Army Tricks is goofy. It's just not my style. There's issues with those. Wow, there's so much more power. It's incredible. So basically what Charles says, look, I've been doing this a long time. We just scrapped the exhaust. Tried all the usual suspects, tried all the normal designs. Just scrap the exhaust, start from scratch, went to the dyno and test. And this is the, sort of the iteration he's come out with. My guess he's going to have to come out with, for the track guys, he's going to have to come out with a solution for the center muffler, because this center muffler will most likely crack, especially with all the, I guess maybe it won't, because there's probably less heat buildup, less restriction, hence the car making more horsepower and torque. But it sounded like the perfect solution, other than the valves. But I trusted him. After listening to him, the guy is a lot like me in his field and making exhaust, and so it just fit. So I said, well, send me one, and so I bought it and installed. The install is just like all the other exhausts, and anybody can do it. I'll have a video up of that. But it's sort of the perfect combination. Makes more power. I lose about 21 pounds over the GMG. You'd lose 31 pounds over stock. So lose weight, make power, sounds great, gets rid of the annoying valve transition. So seems like a win-win to me. Win-win-win-win. Definitely a significant difference in power output. So I'll get to the dyno at some point in the next couple of weeks here, but there's no question the car's making more power. So there's the valve transition right there. It's kind of cool. There's almost like a little boom, like a little tiny boom that you can hear. So I'm in 6th gear, transitioning through, valves open. So that time the valves open at 3,900 RPMs. I don't normally drive like this where I'm off and on the throttle, but just so you guys can hear what the heck's going on. don't need to go back in the neighborhood. Let's just swing it around. There is no way I'm gonna pass at AMP, Atlanta Motorsports Park. I've got 2 track days scheduled, so you real car guys will be excited to know that I'm going to take the car on the track. But I don't think it's going to pass. I think it has a 98 dB. It's 98 decibel max rating, so max SPL rating. So I don't know how that's going to work. Probably won't be able to do it, because I can guarantee you, if the stock breaks that limit, this is way louder than that. But again, in the car, it's so civil. I mean, I'm riding around at 5,000 RPMs here, and my whole thing is I wanted to hear the car. I want to experience it. I want it to sound nasty. I want it to fit the character of this car. It's a bright blue car with a giant wing on the back of it. Even though I'm hidden behind the window tint, I don't really want to show off. I just want to hear it. I want the car's personality, or the sound of the car, to fit the personality of it. And don't get me wrong, even the stock exhaust sounds great. Wow, you can really hear as you let off, you can hear the intakes. That was a little difference. There's a little burble that you don't get with the factory paper filters that you get with the BMC. But to just drive around like I do a lot, is I'm in 5th gear, driving 45 miles an hour behind a Subaru Forester, and it's comfortable. Comfortable. It's not too loud, not too annoying. It really does what I would want it to do, in that as soon as I get on it, the nasty comes right back. I keep calling it nasty. That probably sounds stupid to you guys, but I think most of you car guys get what I'm saying. We all want that perfect, and that's the whole idea behind valves, is valves are supposed to create sort of a perfect situation, and you get a nasty sounding car, but then you have valves. Well, with this car, it turned out the valves were just so that it probably could survive in Europe without getting, and actually be able to be sold for the street, get inspected. And so the valves turned into a solution of annoyance rather than, bureaucratic solution rather than an improvement. So now with that much smoother, much more seamless transition, I would guess that when I'm not making a video and I'm not thinking about it, the valves aren't even going to exist anymore. So I would say that the exhaust is probably, 15% louder than it was before. Just, at lower RPMs at startup than it was with the GMG. So you're talking, 40% louder than stock. Let's go this way. Scary fast, man. Scary fast. But still, yeah, man, you can really hear that. The intakes. Hear that? So even though the valves, see right here, the valves are switching from open and close, because I'm right around that, that 3,500 to 4,500 RPM range, but it's not annoying at all. And believe me, I'm a maniac when it comes to the valve switching. So if you have a 991 GT3 and you want an exhaust and you want what I want, which I think a lot of us do, there's no question this is it. I hope I haven't said it. I don't think I've said, I know I said the GMG is the one, I'm just going to leave it, and I had to eat those. I'm eating those words right now, but this is exactly what I want. Driving up to, to Orlando on the highway, this has the sorry. Gotta stop talking over the awesomeness of this thing. But driving to Orlando and putting it in 6th gear and cruising is great, but then, boom, back to nasty. I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for the valves to open 5 seconds later. It's right there. So, thank you, Charles Dundon, for making this, and Jamie for making this exhaust, bringing it to market, giving us everything that I could have wanted. More power, lighter weight, sounds awesome, different tone, but fantastic tone. It's just perfect. Now, if you're one of those guys that gets, that really doesn't like a lot of, doesn't like their car starting up loud or wants it to be really, really tame, I mean, this probably isn't it. But I mean, even the factory exhaust is not particularly tame. So I think even if you're a more reserved person, now I'm pretty reserved, but I know there are guys that are even more reserved than I am. I think that you'll still like this. You could either, if you're somewhat mechanical, easy install in your garage. It took me, I don't know, 3 hours just because I was taking my time and making a video while I'm doing it. So if you're a real man, you could probably get it done in an hour and a half. If you had a lift, certainly would be easier. I love how much play the factory traction control gives you. I mean, it'll let you step out a little bit, bring it back in yourself rather than taking over. So awesome. I know it. Most people who buy their cars are super fanboys and of the car that they own or the product that they own. Well, I feel like I've always had a sort of an unbiased opinion on things. So I'm not saying this just because this is my car. I mean, I've been very critical of my F80 M3. Although I like the car, I've said I don't love it, and people flame me for that, for saying that. But it's the truth. I mean, I'm going to tell you what I think, and this car is literally about as close to perfection as I could get. I don't see what else I could possibly want in a car to be, my weekend car, and I could drive this thing every day and be fine with it. So now I guess the one problem that I had was the factory stereo. I thought the ride height was a little too high. So all that's fixed now. Wow, pulls so hard, like incredibly hard. The car was scary before, but man, just incredible. Should have gone. I got 40 extra horsepower, for gosh sakes. Yeah, there is no question there's more horsepower. I can't wait to get it on the dyno. Only problem, the dyno is like an hour and 10 minutes from my house, and I gotta go during the day, the whole thing. Let's just creep so we can actually go around some corners. The car feels good. I mean, again, no check engine light. I don't feel any. It's actually running, I mean, I guess it's a little cooler today, but it's running a little cooler than normal. No issues with stuttering or stumbling. And as the ECU adapts, my guess is that it'll feel even better. what someone thinks when a blue GT3 comes rolling up on them like that. They're probably angry. I'm having a tendency to want to go straight and go down there for you, but I got a bad feeling. Last time I took someone for a ride, I've never seen a cop on that road, but there was a cop as I was in the illegal speed range. Came up over the hill, just jammed on just racked the brakes. I probably hit a G1/2. So conclusion is perfect. I mean, awesome. Perfect for me. I don't know about you, but perfect for me. I think that this is what people want. I think that if you have any other exhaust, I think it's time to sell it. So hopefully I'll get mine sold before you get yours sold, or the market gets flooded with other, bypasses. Looks like he's not riding without training wheels, but bought him some awesome bike, and he's riding this one that they bought at the flea market. They didn't make it very far. Come on. Oh, the thing always has problems opening when I leave the lights on. There we go. I think the lights interfere with the infrared, I guess. Gotta get an alignment done. There's some serious camber going on the front of the M3 there. A couple courtesy revs for you. It's awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm good. I'm happy. Shoot me if you have any questions. If you're a GT3 guy, I'll tell you the whole story. This is the whole story. So, thanks.